And we're live. Hey, my thing's kind of foggy. Can you guys see me, hear me? Let me know. What's up, Leandra? How you doing, man? Hey, so I bought these. They are hoops. Got a few of them. All right. And no, they're not to juggle with. Um, I am weight at 5. No, we're at 4. Anyways, I got hoops because um I use them for bed shots now. All right. And what bed shots are is when you're on your back and you shoot the ball straight up and down. All right. I try to tell kids to make sure that they can shoot the ball straight up and straight down. A lot of people think that bed shots aren't like the best shots for you because if you really, really like copy them exactly and you brought it to the real court, you'll be shooting like this. And that's not really how you shoot, right? You shoot up. But what bed shots it teaches you is how to roll the ball off your fingertips correctly. And you can lay it down and do it. So it's a very, very easy shot, right? You also want to make sure that you're spreading your fingers, that you're using your offhand correctly on bed shots. All right. But the fourth thing that it does is it gives you a chance to shoot the ball up in an accurate way. The counter was for 5 o'clock. Oh, my fault. I might have clicked 5 o'clock. We're at 4. Anyways, but again, when you shoot the ball, you want to make sure that the ball goes straight up and straight back down. And some people think that this is just like so that the ball doesn't go too far away. But I think that this is very important. And the more accurately that you can do it, the better that your actual shot's going to be because you have to practice flicking the ball off your fingertips and still have enough control to make it go straight up and straight back down. And when you have these, or just one of them, all right, you put it above you, about like 4 feet above your head, and you take the basketball. You want to shoot straight up and have the ball go through the hoop on the bottom side and then back through from the top and back in your hands. Someone can hold the hoop up top with 2 hands like this and not try to move it, of course, to make the ball go through. They should hold it still. Maybe don't look so that they don't, so that they're not tempted to make the ball go through correctly. All right. And I like to add that to our bid shot. So that's another little tool that I've added. And you guys can feel free to come to our practices where we have them, or you can purchase them on Amazon, or you can maybe construct something at your own home where you have the same exact thing. All right, let's start off with the quote of the day. The quote of the day is, "Your past isn't your future." Now that sounds like the most obvious thing in the world. It's like saying your turtle isn't your dog. I get it. All right, but what it actually means is your past is not your future, meaning that whatever you were in the past doesn't have to be exactly what you are in the future. So a lot of people get bogged down, they get categorized, they get put into a box. All right, they get said, "Hey, you're the guy who's lazy," and then they're like, "Oh man, I'm the guy who's lazy," or they're like, "You're the stupid person in class," or maybe like, "You're a kid who can't shoot." Or like, "You just don't do this," or "You're the mean kid, you're the nice kid." Whatever it is, people try to put you in a box. And you don't have to continue along a certain path unless you want to. All right. So if you were the lazy kid for your entire life, starting with today, if you wanted to, you could just walk outside, run around the block 8 times, and then walk back inside, and then do that every day of your life. Now, immediately, you're known as, "He's the hardest worker I've ever met." Wow. And what changed? You just walked with your legs outside of door and then decided to just move around a block at a decent speed, and then do that once a day. And now you're the hardest worker that anyone's ever met. All right. So those things that we aren't really us. All right. The person that we were in the past doesn't have to define who we are. All right. You're not stuck there. All right. If you're ashamed of something that you're considered, like maybe like, since you're not Steph Curry, since you're not Michael Jordan, all those things keeping you from being them, you could say, "Oh man, I'm not like Steph Curry because of this. I'm not like him because of this and because of this. Oh man." Or you can say, "I wasn't like him because of these things. And then today I'm changing right now." And if you fail one day in a week, who cares? Start over again. Then you start over again because I assure you, even those best players, they fell for a certain amount of time. All right. So again, your past isn't your future. You define your future. Your past does not define you. All right. Let's start with star passing. All right, star passing for the elementary is when you pass the ball and you're in a star formation. There's five different spots. I know for the elementary kids, it's pretty hard. All right, but it's also hard for the college kids and high school kids as well, because passing the ball accurately is very, very important. Also, passing the ball as soon as you catch it, you're going to be stepping and step forward and make a pass like that. It's also a tough thing for some kids to do. All right. And then you add separate basketballs where you can do star passing with two balls, maybe even bring it up to three. Now it gets confusing. You have to sprint through. All right. And a lot of people have trouble with this because it's confusing. And I mean, it's hard to throw an accurate pass. All right. And you also have to call out each other's names. So call out the name of the person that's giving you the ball, call out the name of the person that you're passing to. All right. And it also helps with communication like that. So star passing altogether is a pretty complex drill, but once you get good at it, you should be able to figure it out. And then where it helps you out in games is when everyone's doing their thing and the defense is there, you're still focused on the target. You can make accurate passes. So star passing for elementary school. All right, other ones that I won't talk that much about are post, catch, quick finish, 3-on-3 defensive positioning, press break, reverse repeat, 4 to 9 seconds, down by 3 with free throws, and then bigs versus guards. All right, I like the bigs versus guards one. Because we'll put our big guys, like the tallest players that we have, against the shortest players, and this sounds like a mismatch, but you have to realize it's a mismatch both ways. All right, it's a mismatch in terms of, well, those guys are way bigger than those little guys, yes, but it's also a mismatch in terms of, hey, those players are so small and so quick that the bigger players can't keep up to them, or those players are so small that they're more skilled, and the big players can't guard them on the outside. So it's a double mismatch. And the point of the game is we play 5-on-5 with the bigs versus the guards, and you have to make the game about your advantage. So if you're guard, you lure the big guys away. You run pick and rolls. All right, you try to penetrate. You kick out. You keep it going. Maybe you press them full court. And if you're big, well, now you have to make sure that you're passing the ball up instead of dribbling the ball, possibly. If you're big on the big team, now you definitely pass the ball down to the post. If you're big, you crash the boards as hard as you can. If you're big, you don't press them. You make sure that you get on their shots so that they have to penetrate into your size. There's a lot more things. All right, so it teaches people how to use their advantages, but also it teaches the smalls how to get tougher. All right, and I'm gonna go back to that in a second. It teaches the bigs how to become better ball handlers. So I like the game bigs versus guards because it teaches people the game in many different ways and allows you to express yourself in ways where maybe you wouldn't have gotten a chance before. Maybe you can rebound, but all the bigs always get your rebound. So now you're a guard who can rebound. Now you get to show your coach, or you're a big who can dribble like I was, and you get to show your coach that you can do that. All right, and speaking of tough. All right, speaking of tough, we have Ian Salmon and we have Dylan Deviney. All right, Ian Salmon, Dylan Deviney. Dylan is one of our best players of all time in our program. I've always said it. I will continue to say it. He's so savvy and stuff like that. Well, Ian is one of the toughest players in our program, period. All right, he is the leader by far in attendance. He's been in our program since 3rd grade, always playing up. Got popped in the mouth last summer. Boom. His braces went through his mouth because he's playing 4 years up. All right. And he still came back in the game. He's a tough cookie. So when he was in 4th grade, he and John Wang, all right, they had a plank challenge. Who can do the planks the longest? All right. And I had them go. We were at a church. I remember that. And I started the timer. And around like 7 minutes, these guys still weren't stopping. 8 minutes, they still weren't stopping. 9 minutes, I was like, guys, you guys have to stop. And they refused to like lose to each other. Then at 10 minutes, I was like, okay, I'm going to force you guys to stop. And I just kicked them both over because I didn't want them to like hurt themselves. All right. And they were willing to hurt themselves, which I was like, that's awesome. Now, there's been some other players that are young that can do those just as well. Like Gabby, when she was in first grade, she could do push-ups and planks together and never drop because the body weight composition of a young kid is different than an older kid. So if you're a strong young kid, you could do things that an older, strong person can't do. All right. If you're a weak young kid, yeah, you still can't do it. But if you're a strong young kid, you can do it. So basically, we started doing planks for Dylan's punishments. Whenever he doesn't post a video, he does planks. And for the first day, he did about 3 minutes, and he struggled. He stopped about a minute and a half through, and then finally he made it to 3 minutes after like about a week of doing it, and he was so happy because he made 3 minutes. Since then, he's been up to 5 minutes, and then last week he got his record, 6 minutes and 40 seconds. So I told Ian because we're on FaceTime doing workouts. I said, "Can you beat 6 minutes 40 seconds for me?" Was Ian in 50 All Stars from the first year of 50 All Stars? Um, he was not. Ian came about the third year. Ian's been in our program for at least 5 years or so. So he came maybe the second or third year. Um, so Ian, I told Ian that he needs to. So I said, hey, you used to do 10-minute planks. And he's like, yes. And I was like, but you've gotten older. And he's like, oh no. He goes, yes, I have. He goes, it's going to be way harder. I was like, yes, it is. And I want you to try to beat Dylan's record of 6 minutes, 40 seconds. So he's like, okay. So he tried. And then about a minute in, he starts struggling, moving like this. But he never dropped. And he kept struggling, kept struggling, kept struggling. After a while, he's like, how much time? How much time? I was like, 5 minutes. He's like, okay, I'll keep going. What was his time? I was like 6:40. He goes, okay. So he gets like 6. And he's like, oh, how much time? I was like 6 minutes. And he's like, okay, I'll go 6:41. He's struggling. But he's like calling out his number. He's like, I'm going to beat Dylan by a little bit just to make fun of him. And then he gets to 6:41. He goes, nope, I'm going to go longer. I'm going to do more than he could ever do. So then he gets to 7.5 minutes. He goes, okay, I'm going to keep going. And he's like, he's dying, but he's not stopping. He's just like, oh, this hurts so much. But he keeps going. And then he gets to 8 minutes. I was like, you're at 8 minutes. He goes, okay, and I'll stop. He stopped. He chose to stop at 8:03. Now he was in pain since 1 minute. Dylan, when he first started off, he was in pain at 1:30. He stopped right away. Since then, we've been getting better at it. And every time that he's in pain, he starts to go through it, sort of. These last times he stopped at 5 minutes or 6 minutes 40 seconds. He said he could go no longer. Said it was too hard. Now, I told him what the time that Ian got. I told him that Ian was kind of making fun of him. And just this morning, he's like, well, then I have to do it. So I was like, here you go. Let's do it for 8 minutes. So we tried for eight minutes. He was feeling the pain. He just didn't stop. And then we got to 10 minutes. And right when I said 10 minutes, he stopped. And he didn't know he could go that hard. And what prompted him to go that hard? Was it me calling him the best player in our program ever? Nope. Was it me challenging him against himself? Nope. It was me telling him that Ian got a higher score. And me telling that Ian was talking trash about him. So when Ian got a higher score, when Ian was trash talking him, he loves negative. And so Dylan has said, I got to beat him. All right. Because some people are inspired by negative, some people are inspired by positive. I do teach you guys that positive is better. Inspiring yourself is better, but it is what it is. So he's inspired by negative, he knows. So he used it to inspire him. But then since Ian got 8 minutes, Dylan knew that it was possible. And where Ian, he wasn't afraid of dying. He wasn't afraid of hurting himself. He just knew afterwards he wouldn't die. No matter what kind of pain there was, it wouldn't kill him. Dylan didn't really know that. I told him that. He didn't know that. And not until he saw Ian do it or he heard about Ian doing it did he understand that he would be okay. And that was when he did it. All right. So I have to tell you guys, it's up to you to figure those things out prior to someone else doing it. All right. Because there's two stories in this. All right. There's one where the 4-minute mile was never broken. People thought for 100 years it could never be broken. It was the impossible time, 4-minute miles, impossible. Then this guy, Roger Bannister, I think that was his name. He broke the 4-minute mile. And they were like, oh my God, he did it. Oh my God. Then 6 months later, another guy broke it. Then a year later, 8 guys broke it. Now, like a really good high school player can break it. And the only thing that changed was people thought that they couldn't do it before, and they thought that they could do it afterwards. So if you think that you could do something, you're just going to be able to do it. But again, no one's Roger Bannister besides him. So you have to think it before. You have to make the impossible possible before it starts. And then the second story is electricity. You've probably seen like in movies like Home Alone or like cartoons. When you touch electricity and it shoots you away, this is real, so don't do it, guys. Don't touch electricity like that. It'll shoot you so far back. It'll shoot you like 15 feet backwards. It might kill you too, okay? And when it shoots you that far back, it's not the electricity pushing you. It's the electricity making your muscles contract. So you got one muscle like this, like making one muscle, but it's every muscle in your body going like that at the same exact time. And when you do that, you can jump 15 feet. Now the electricity, it's not pushing you. The electricity is just telling your brain to turn on all those muscles at the same exact time. So what that means is that we as human beings, if we knew how and could get better at it, we could contract our muscles at the same time to jump 15 feet. So that means that, like Leandre, you could dunk if you could understand your body well enough to activate everything at the same exact time. So as we inch more and more and more and more better, as like Usain Bolt runs faster, other people jump higher and other people jump further, and like LeBron dunks higher, we are just going toward that extreme of realizing our true potential. All right. So it's crazy how much human beings could possibly do. All right. The monks, those bald people over there in Asia wearing those orange things, they meditate so much that they can sit down naked in the snow and melt the snow. And you might think that it's a magic trick, but think about whenever you're embarrassed, you get hot. That's just your mind telling your body to get hot. Whenever you're sick, you get hot. Again, the sickness is not making you hot. It's your body going, we need to fight off this disease. So if you could control your mind and just imagine being embarrassed or whatever, you could melt snow. And that's what these people do. So the mind is very, very strong. So again, if you have any goal in life, tell yourself, first of all, that it's possible. And then achieve it. That's it. All right. Moving on. Our middle school drills for today are layups, extending the ball out, sideline out of bounds for shots. That's using multiple basketballs, doing our sideline out of bounds play with the box for multiple shots, passing to whomever you want. Next one is zone flex screens. Whenever they do a zone screen or a flex screen, you want to play on top of the screen. Don't cross half court on the trap. I'll talk about that one. Whenever someone is pressing you and you're dribbling the ball up the court, don't cross half court with the dribble. If there's two people guarding you, don't cross half court. I say it with me. Don't cross half court. I assume that you said it. Okay. Anyways, because if you cross half court, now they can trap you and now you can't go backwards again. Because once you cross half court, you can't go backwards. So if you cross half court and they're double teaming you, now you're stuck in the corner. But as if you see them about to double team and then you don't cross half court, now you can run away from them backwards. So be smart about that. Don't cross half court. Next thing is 0 to 3 seconds down by 3 with free throws. I'll talk about that one. Less than 3 seconds down by 3 with free throws. You got to make both, and then you got to miss one on purpose. All right. You got to make one free throw, then you got to miss one on purpose, and you're going for a 2 or a 3-pointer, depending on whether you're down by 1 or down by 1, 2, or 3. All right. You make one, miss one on purpose. Everyone crashes the boards. No one's going back. Go for a tip. If you're down by 3, you got to keep some people out so that you can get the rebound and tip it out to those people so that they can shoot a shot instead of just standing still. Those 3-point shooters can run to the corner as well so that they can trick the defense who should be going for the rebound. All right. And then the last one is 5-on-5, Nash, then dash. That's when we go 5-on-5 and the better team has a Nash drill or a sprint. and then we play, and then the loser has another sprint. So it's a game where you give the worst team a chance. All right, motivational story of the day is, oh yeah. All right, so there's a few type of people. No, let me just read this straight. All right, a few type of people comprise the game of basketball. Two of the most popular are fans and players. All right, you might be able to do both for a while, but ultimately you're going to have to choose one. If you consider yourself a player, be sure not to skip your training to watch other players play, even if the other players are in the NBA. All right. So I know I tell you guys to watch a whole bunch of NBA games, and you should. Great players watch NBA games. But one thing that great players don't do is they don't skip their own practice to watch an NBA game. All right. You can tape the game. There's DVR, dude. All right. Or you can practice before or after. All right. You don't skip your own games. You don't go to an NBA game and say, I got tickets to the NBA game. I'm skipping our game. No, you play your game. Your game matters more than their game, okay? Because Steph Curry would never skip his practice for your championship game. You're like, hey, Steph, come see my championship game. I'm dying of cancer. He would be like, sorry, kid, I have a shoot around and then I have to ice. Yeah, me putting ice on my knees is more important than your championship game when you have cancer. All right. You have to understand that these players who are at high levels, they prioritize their needs and their team's needs over anyone else. All right. And that's not always great, but yeah, that's how they got there. All right. So make sure that you're not just skipping games to watch basketball games, but also make sure that you watch basketball games if you're not playing a game. All right. If you don't have anything to do that night, or you've already done your workout, watch the games. And speaking of games, we have the NBA game. It should be the last NBA game of the season. Hopefully, knock on wood. All right. It's the Lakers and the Heat tomorrow night at 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. All right. 4 in the morning Moroccan time. Okay. And watch that thing so you can see who the champions are, so you can witness greatness. All right. Draped upon the world, and the fact that it's either the Lakers or the Heat. So you get to watch the greatest two teams in the world play right now. All right. Watch those games and be inspired by them, strive to be them. I can't tell you that enough. Okay. Watch those games. If I had a better program with amazing players, I wouldn't even have to say all this. They would be talking right now about who they think is going to win the championship. So make sure you guys want to be like those guys in this regard. Try to be like them in that regard as well. All right, but again, don't skip your games for their games. All right, next one, we're going with the high school. This is the workouts that Dylan did, and what he's been doing today or lately is I started to try to let him fail. All right, because again, I've been telling him, hey, camera on, and at first he was like forgetting his camera. Then he broke his phone. Now he uses his mom's phone. Okay, so he's not the most organized person in the world. It happens. All right. But he also forgets once he has his camera up there and everything, when we're doing the workout, he forgets to turn on his camera every single time. So I have to remind him. So lately I've stopped. And I just haven't said anything. And he's caught himself almost every time. And he's like, oh yeah, I forgot to film. And now we're trying to move beyond that, where I also try to tell him to stop the camera at 3 minutes. But now I don't remind him of that either. I try to let him fail. And now he tries to get it exactly at 3 minutes. So we'll start the camera. We'll start doing the drill that lasts for 10 minutes. And he has to keep in his mind as he's doing a hard drill of how much time has passed by. And if he could get good at guessing how much time and tries to get that timer stopped exactly at 3 minutes and remembers to also start the camera, right? Then he could be a better point guard, because point guards need to know how much time is on the clock always. And you can't just stare at the clock the entire time, because then they're going to steal the ball from you. So we're working on all this stuff, and he's getting better at it already. But the biggest piece is that I'm willing to let him fail. And I asked his dad if they've ever tried to let him fail. And you guys can ask your parents, or notice if your parents do. Do your parents let you fail? That means if you're in a class and you forget to do your homework, what happens around like 9 o'clock at night? You haven't done your homework all day. Are your parents screaming at you to do your homework? If they are, they're not letting you fail. They're basically doing it for you. They're doing the hard part for you. All right, they are crippling you for life. Crippling is like injuring you. They're injuring you by telling you to do your homework. What they should do is not say anything. You forget to do your homework the entire day, they should say nothing. Then the next day, you forgot to bring it to class, they should say nothing. Then when you get the F, they should punish you. And then you're like, well, they should stop that. Because if I do that badly, then I won't have a future and I can't become a lawyer or a doctor. Nope. The way to make you a lawyer or doctor is to make you go through the fire, not to do it for you. All right, maybe that's not exactly how it works because really, if they did your homework for you, they could just like let you go easily through life and they have enough money to pay for college. But that's not how you really, really deserve it. To make you a person that can actually become a great doctor, a great lawyer, or a person who doesn't need the money, I that's what your parents need to allow you to do is to fail. They need to let you make the mistake. So they shouldn't be screaming at you unless you're like, 5 years old to go to sleep. They should look at you when you're 8 and look at you and say, it's 10 o'clock, right? You could be like, yeah, I'm going to stay awake. Okay. I'm going to stay awake till 12. Okay. I'm going to stay awake till 3 in the morning. Okay. And then at 6:30 in the morning, wake up. And then you're like, I'm tired. Like, nope, sorry, get up now. And then you have to get up and have a horrible day. And then who do you have to blame? Yourself. You can't blame your parents. But the kid whose parents tell him to do everything, you tell him to go to sleep at this time, tell him to do his homework, tell him to wash his clothes, tell him to make his dinner, that kind of stuff. Those people always blame their parents because they think that their life is their parents' life and that they have no responsibility. And the parents will argue about that later on. They'll say, what's wrong with my 17-year-old? He's not very responsible. He doesn't take care of business, blah, blah, because you made him that way. Duh. All right. So if parents want a responsible kid who can take care of himself, and if the kid wants to become amazing by himself without the need for like everyone helping them and carrying them through life, it needs to come in the form of letting you do mistakes. And I talked to many parents about not punishing their kids for mistakes during basketball, and I do agree with that. All right, if a kid messes up during a game, you don't just take him out right away. No, that'll cripple him. And I should stress, it's good to make mistakes. It's good to make mistakes, right? Because if you're not trying hard enough, or you never make a mistake, you're not going fast enough. And parents understand that. But I just said something that they don't get. It's good to make mistakes. So parents should allow you to make mistakes. And then they should allow you to see the consequences of those mistakes as well. All right. So tell your parents that, all right, you need to just start doing it and hold yourself more accountable. All right. Anyways, let me know if you watched any of the movies. I told you guys about those the other day. And again, for January, I'm so excited about this. All right. I'm going to have on this live stream one kid per day. All right. And for that day, you know what? I'm also going to include all our workouts plus the challenge for that kid. So if the kid's a second grader, we're going to do the second grade challenge. We're also going to do the homework during that hour as well. So we're going to show you guys all of it. All right. I'll make it kind of condensed. We're going to be running around. So this will be the best time ever to be a player in our program. And anyone who signs up for all 7 days of the week for both months, January and February, you guys will get a free book, all right, of any grade level that you want. So if you already have the 3rd grade book, you can also order the 4th grade book for free. All right. So heads up for that sign up sheet. I'll probably send it out in December. So that's still a month and a half away. I just want to warn you guys about it. But yeah, so time we got about a minute to go. All right. We have the workout coming up. If you the weather's getting better. We were at 5% fire contained yesterday or the day before. Now we're at 64% contained. And the number is down to like 70. So the air quality is getting way better. So I think we might officially be out of fire season unless someone has another gender reveal party. All right. So heads up, you can now work out outside. Join us for our isolation workouts because starting in January, those things are done. I will no longer have the things online. So get them now. But if we can get the numbers up to like maybe 20 people online, 10 people online, I'll keep those going. So if you can go online, get online and make those things nice, because if no one's doing it, I will stop it. All right, but either way, I will see people if they're at Tice Valley. I'll see you there, all right, in a few minutes. All right, guys. Anyways, talk to you later. Peace, and keep up the hard work, everybody.